Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you very much for inviting us to speak here today at your LIR group seminar. We were delighted to receive your invitation, and our data literacy initiative at TH Köln involves not only Elisabeth and me, but it involves a total of 8 professors and 2 research assistants from 5 different faculties, ranging from cultural studies to applied natural sciences and computer science, as well as the library and information science departments. We have come together to examine the topic of data literacy from various perspectives and dimensions. And in the following slides, we would first like to introduce the DALI initiative, then share our observations, and finally draw our conclusions for libraries. So I try to switch to the next slide, which should be, oh yes, here. Fine. Well, our experience has shown that although students work with data every day and generate data using various devices such as their mobile phones or their smartwatches, they often lack the skills to handle, analyze, and especially critically evaluate the data. So here you can see the shortcomings we identified at the start of our project, which related not only to the students' skills, but also to the structural embedding of these skills within the university, as basic data literacy is not yet part of this curriculum and has not been incorporated into our university programs. So to bridge this gap, we founded the DALI initiative, which is the abbreviation of data literacy. And our initiative was launched at the Technical University of Cologne, and we've already taken some steps and have since 2020, realized that libraries can play a vital role in that effort. So, there are various data competency models in the literature, and we have developed a model for higher education purposes and research that meets the specific requirements and priorities of our target groups. You see the outer circle around the model that illustrates the research data cycle in conjunction with the competence model. That is divided into 7 competence areas. And the first one is to establish data culture. And we have topics in there like ethics, copyright, data protection. And that's the foundation for all our work and decisions with data. And here and also in the next sections, library can play a vital role. The next section is providing data, so finding data, collecting data, establishing hypotheses, and then the next areas are manage data, analyze data, evaluate and interpret data, and then the last one, publish data, is the most important section, which takes up the largest part of the library's input. And I will describe that in more detail shortly as an example in another slide. And this section, this published data, is absent from almost all other data literacy models, and or is just included in a very brief form. And we found that, especially from the library's point of view, very important. So we had a special focus here, or we have a special focus here. So based on the competency model, we developed a basic data literacy course that you can see here. And the data literacy course is delivered using the flipped classroom model. The slide shows the 7 content areas I just mentioned and the sections that correspond to the sections of the model. And every section is covered with the students during an online session every fortnight. And every other week, there are self-study modules with tasks relating to an ongoing open data project involving weather data, German weather data. Yeah, and here comes the example I just talked about. The slides illustrates how the key topic of the published data module, so the latest section of our competency model, is integrated. It draws direct parallel with the research data life cycles. The students work on their own reports to explore how data is prepared for publication and tagged with metadata for long-term archiving. And in addition, you see here all the other important library-related topics that are also addressed in that online course and in the self-studying modules for the students. So you see the research data life cycle, the institutional guidelines, fair open access. Well, you see it, and yeah, and our research in that basic course you will get from Elisabeth, and I will now hand over to her. Elisabeth?
Yeah, thank you very much, Simone. Hello, everyone. Nice to be here. Thank you very much for the invitation. The Data Literacy Basic course that we saw a few minutes ago is open to all students of the Technical University of Cologne. And to assess the students' learning process, we conducted a pre- and post-evaluation based on the data literacy competency models, asking students to self-assess their data, the data competences, data literacy competences. The evaluation presented in this talk were conducted during the last 3 years. According to the course-defined learning outcomes, the questionnaire that we use mainly focus on competences at the lower level of Bloom's taxonomy relating to knowledge, understanding, and basic application skills. And midway through the semester, we observed an unusual number of dropouts. And so we handed out a mainly qualitative questionnaire asking students if they were still with us or had already left the course. We wanted to examine the reasons for leaving. So overall, 130 students participated in the pre-evaluation and 42 in the post-evaluation. It seemed that the motivation to take part in the evaluation was lower after the course. And in the interim evaluation survey, 19 students filled out the qualitative survey. Our research questions were, the first one was what challenges and barriers do students face during the course? This was evaluated with the interim survey. The second was, does participation increase confidence in dealing with data? This was measured by the pre and post survey that we handed out. And then last question was, how do competencies in library modules develop? Next slide, please. So in the qualitative, the first results of the first question, student engagement and challenges, the qualitative interim survey is still with us already done. The students cite time, mainly time constraints and conflicting priorities as the most common reason for leaving the course. These were followed by personal problems like health issues or private reasons. Some students had different expectation also regarding the amount and difficulty of the course content, and this issue was particularly common among first-year students. The feedback also revealed differences in how students from various backgrounds perceived the course. One student with data science experience found the content too basic, while a few students from non-technical disciplines reported challenges, particularly with programming and data preparation tasks. As one student noted, you see it in the bubble, for those who are not data scientists, it's really difficult to keep up. These findings highlight the challenge of designing a single course that adequately addresses the needs of a heterogeneous student population with varying prior knowledge and disciplinary interests. Next slide, please. So the second question of student engagement, overall impact on confidence dealing with data. There were two questions on evaluation in the pre and post questionnaire that we handed out, in which we asked students to assess their overall data literacy skills. On the left side, you see the first question. It was, I feel confident in dealing with data. They hated to rate how confident they feel from a Likert scala from disagree and agree, and you can see in the between the pre and post evaluation there is a flipped the rating shift, and we have more people agreeing after the course than before the course. The same we have on the other side, on the right side, where the students had to rate and the scale from 1 to 5. 1 is in Germany the best rate that you can give. There are data skills, and here also you can see the shift in the rating between the pre and post evaluation. Next slide, please. So, and in response to the third research question, the impact of library-related modules, the results demonstrate substantial improvements in especially the 3 library-related modules, and this is where establish data. This is the first one, the gray one, then provide data, the second one, and the last one, publish data. Especially the last one, there you can see it most, received at the beginning the lowest rating, indicating the lowest level of competence. The students stated that they tended not to be familiar with the possibilities of sustainable data management. They also stated that they were unable to name the advantages and disadvantages of open access publication and open data, or the opportunities and challenges of long-term archiving and reuse of data. They were also largely unfamiliar with methods for citing scientific data and publication in their own discipline. After completing the course, students reported substantially higher levels of confidence in relation to the skills, with the median scores shifting towards strongly positive numbers, as you can see in this slide. And also we had highest gains, strong improvements in the area of provide data, and also a solid growth in established data culture. So, and now Simone will summarize our
I will
conclusion.
wrap up. Yes.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. As you see, it's our last slide. One of our key conclusions is that academic libraries are critical partners in data literacy education, having the highest gains in the library's core domains, and most of all, libraries contribute subject expertise and not just infrastructure. So the future outlook of our initiative is at first that there is a need for larger studies with control groups and matched pre and post data. And we would like to move from voluntary courses to mandatory curricular components. And what we already did is we have started updating the content to include not only data literacy, but also AI literacy. We build a course that's called Data Literacy Meets AI. So we included the AI literacy and also the automated data analysis. Yeah, and all in all, those were our main points. We would like to thank you very much for your attention and for giving us the opportunity to share our thoughts about our project. On the left-hand side, you can see the QR code about the Data Literacy Initiative, and on the right side, you find the QR code which gives access to our open access publication about what we just talked about. So thank you very much. And in case you have any questions, don't hesitate to ask us.